In the previous screencasts, we combined these three lines into a single function, and eventually it became toString, which is used by printline in order to print out all three values that the student object contains. That makes it really, really convenient to do the printing. The other problem we have is at the top of the file when we make the class. In this case, when we make the class, we have to go through the issue of making a student and then setting all three of the fields to give it values. This is a little annoying. It would be really nice if we could just make a student and create all of the fields at the same time. So for instance, do something like this. Okay. In other words, make the new student Betty Rebel, supply all of the information that the class needs, and then assign that value to a variable all at once. Let's go into the student class and add that. Now the interesting thing about this is that it's really a combination of three of the setters. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the information that I used to supply to each one of the setters, and I'm going to add it in at the top of this method that happens to have the same name as the name of the class. And to further show you that they're the same, I'm going to take all of the assignment statements that were within those setters and copy them in to this special convenience setter. And there's the combination of three setters all rolled into one, given the name of the class. Notice this thing is a little special too, because there's no void return statement in there. And the other thing that makes it very, very special is that it's only called by new. So there's no way that you can invoke this thing yourself other than making sure that new does the work for you when the class is first initialized. Now notice that as soon as we make our own special version of this student initializer, which is called a constructor, that all of a sudden the old one starts to fail. The reason the old one fails is that it was the default, and Java decides that if for some reason you create a constructor and you supply a bunch of extra arguments, that then it's your responsibility to create a default one. So we'll go back into the student class and we'll create the default constructor ourselves. And we'll make sure that we initialize all of the values to empty. In the case of strings, that means using the word null. And the age gets set to 0. And as soon as we do that, we've now got the main program happy, because the default, the constructor with no arguments works, and also the constructor with 3 arguments works. It's legal to have functions that have the same names in Java as long as they differ by the number of arguments or the order of the arguments so that we can tell them apart.